been asking me to be the best in the world. Why, Eddie, why? I'm better than you.
My eyes are red. I was in the back smoking a joint with Van Damme.
You know it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your boy Stevie Jobber.
And it's your boy Dangerous Duke.
And welcome back to the Dangerous Jobbers podcast, putting wrestling over one podcast at a time.
Yes, sir.
Yo, welcome back to another week. If you're listening for the first time, Duke, tell them where they can find us.
Sure thing. So if you're here for the first time, I'm going to let you know where you can find us. You can find us on Instagram at the Dangerous Jobbers podcast and at the Dangerous Jobber. You can find us on Twitter at Dangerous Jobber, Facebook, TikTok, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, and you can also find us on our website, dangerousjobberswebsite.com.
Boom. Yeah. All right. So every episode we do the Wrestler of the Pod. This week holds a special place in my heart. This Wrestler of the Pod is now for the first time a two-time Wrestler of the Pod, the Tongan Twins.
Yeah.
So this is my first year keeping up with the Wild Wrestling stuff. And I've had my tab on just a few people. I want to shout out to the Beast. The Beast came back on the last episode of the season. That's fire. Even though I was a little confused because they definitely said that there was going to be something else next week. So I was like, I thought you just said this was the finale, but whatever. The Beast came back after the Wild World Championship match, and the Tongan Twins, the episode before that, became the Wild Tag Team Champions. So big shout out to the Tongan Twins, their first piece of gold. It's looking good, man.
You know what's funny? I was actually just watching that episode. Like,
the one where
I
they
shit
won?
you not, right before. Yeah, I was just watching that one right before we started potting. I shit you not.
That's fire. That's fire.
I seen it on TV. I was like, you know what? Let me watch it.
Yeah, I had to go back and look, man. I had to go back and watch the last two because I wanted to see the Beast come back too, and they saved it all the way for the end.
Yeah.
So just congratulations. Love it. Love every bit of it. Transitioning out of the Wrestler of the Pod into the actual news.
Dun, dun.
We got to start with AEW.
Yeah, we do.
Biggest thing first, I guess, just to knock it out, right? All In and All Out happened all during vacation, back to back. All Out and All In. I mean, All In and All Out. All Out and All
Yeah.
Out. All In and All Out. All In and All Out. All In and All Out. So the alls happened that for the past couple weekends.
There were some alls, all right.
And there was a lot of alls. There was a lot of great matches, which is what AEW does best, right? There was the conclusion to the CM Punk Samoa Joe story. And then there was actually, let's start there. So
yeah, let's start there.
Let's start right at the start of the show, or even a little before that. Let's rewind. Let's rewind to the pre-show where Jack Perry, formerly known as Jungle Boy, was having an FTW title match with Hook. And tremendous match.
It was.
There was a bump, including some glass.
There was.
That may have incited a fight backstage.
Possibly so.
Through rumors and possible confirmation, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it's confirmed that Punk and Jack Perry had it out. And apparently, right after Jack Perry's match, about something he said on TV, live on the show, before going to the back, got into a thing with Punk, and then they calmed the situation down, and Punk was still able to go out and perform after. And the confrontation apparently at some point Punk had launched at Tony Khan and told him to quit, and there was a lot of shoving and punching and hissy fitting, and as an end result, Jack Perry has been suspended indefinitely. Whatever. CM Punk, however, has been terminated. He is no longer with AEW, and it already feels like there's a new day in AEW. But let's start, Duke, with your thoughts on the confrontation itself. How do you feel about Punk yet again having locker room issues and seemingly being the only negative thing to talk about on their biggest accomplishments?
So I have a lot of things I could say. I'm going to start it off like this. Yet again, AEW, Tony Khan, and the talent that AEW have put on a historic event. Yes, I will say this was a historic event. This was a great milestone, great accomplishment for AEW and wrestling as a whole. And yet again, CM Punk has put a skid mark on that accomplishment. This is not the first time he's done it in this company. This is not the first time he's done it in wrestling. And I don't know what the deal is with this dude, and I don't know how big his ego must be to try to pick a fight with everyone for every little thing that is said. You are a 40-something-year-old grown man, and you are upset because a 20-something-year-old talent said something that may or may not have been directed towards you. Like, you would have did the same thing had you been in his shoes. And the remark wasn't even that bad. It was, what did he say? Real glass. We use real glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is your ego that fragile that you get upset by one comment? This isn't the first time you've done it. You did it in ROH. That's why you got booted out of ROH. You did it in WWE. That's why you got booted out of the WWE. Did you walk away? Yeah. But after hissy fitting and whining and complaining about every little thing, then you got your walking papers. Now you come to AEW. The first time this happened, you threaten to leave. You get suspended. You say you learn your lesson. You turn the new leaf, blah, blah, blah. Not even 3 months later, it happens again. So I think that the firing needed to happen because at this point, Punk's becoming modern day Hulk Hogan and not in the good way. Like you
He's
have
becoming like Hulk Hogan, isn't
he? You've become the new Terry. Like you are Hogan. You're Hogan of the 2020s and the 2010s.
or like a sober Shawn Michaels, like 90s
Yeah,
Shawn Michaels.
you're like 90s Shawn Michaels, just straight edge. You
Which I feel like makes it worse, but
like it's exactly, it makes it worse. Like, bro, you're supposed to be in the right state of mind and you're still doing this dumb shit.
mm-hmm.
It makes zero sense whatsoever. So him getting fired, I have no problem with it. I think it needed to happen. Like you've become a locker room cancer at this point.
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
start affecting the talent and the product around you, and we don't need that. It's bad for business. So him getting fired, kudos to Tony, because I didn't think Tony was going to have the balls to do it, but hey, he did it.
Yeah. And we'll talk about what I think was the counteraction and the result of that in a second. I do want to make a quick pit stop for the women's division because they had sort of a Monday night after Mania moment where Jay came back and beat down Chris Stat, the current TBS champion.
Yep.
After the All Out, All In shows. So Jade is officially back. I thought they might throw her into a different women's division, but it seems like they might just have her, and who knows, this could be like her one last run of the TBS title for the rematch, and then we move on to the upper women's division. But I just thought it was surprising that they threw her back into the TBS title. What do you think?
Not really. I mean, she's been the most dominant TBS champion. Obviously, she's been one of the few, but her run as the champ wasn't bad. It was actually great. So if anybody can make that title, it's her. I think she can do no wrong. So if that's where they want to put her to give her some shine, I got no problem with it. I'm more than happy seeing her in any type of championship capacity.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Maybe I'm expecting more too fast, you know?
Yeah.
But to get to the counteraction of the CM Punk stuff, I believe in a way to, balance things out, Khan brought back Bryan Danielson, who I think will lead us to an interesting conversation, because Danielson comes back, has a strap match against Ricky Starks.
Phenomenal, too.
The absolute Ricky Starks. They have an amazing match, of course, as they do.
Phenomenal.
You know, what AEW is most famous for. And I think Daniel Bryan holds a high regard. And I've talked about this before, just at the way he's able to be so much more of himself in AEW. And I think we can kind of have this talk now that I'm sure we'll dive into in a separate episode of the pod, about just like who the real big players are in the company now, and who really is holding the company together on their backs. And I think when you think of Jericho, the Blackpool Combat Club, people like a lot of the WWE originals and ROH originals are really holding the place together. I think Danielson's a great symbol of that.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you, especially with some of the names you just said. Like Jericho, is he the same Jericho from 5 years ago? He's not. He's not even the same Jericho from 3 years ago, but he can still go, number one. Number two, he can command the locker room. He can lead people. And something that WWE probably thought he couldn't do better than some of the people that they had at the time. But he's showing in AEW that, hey, he can do this. He's a leader. Much as people might not agree with it or don't want to see him anymore, he's still here. He can still go do this. Danielson, another example. That dude can lead a locker room and command everything. If I got to have somebody right now steering a ship besides Roman Reigns, it would probably be Daniel. And this is the best version of Daniel that I think we're getting in a very long time.
I find it ironic that the people that we started AEW with as the faces of the company and the people that are really steering the ship feel like probably the least consistent part of it at this point, when you look at it from a standpoint of who's most recognizable for being there when they're needed and having the most memorable stuff and really feeling like the influence of the locker room. It's not the people you would think it is, at least for me, by like a mile, because the people you see as the foundations now are
different
nowhere near
than
the
what it
start.
was in the beginning. So to that thing, I would say that's actually a good thing. In anything, be it wrestling or any type of other, sport, even any type of career, your goal when you start something or when you come into something is always to, at least from the way I look at it, leave it in a better condition than how you found it. So AEW, when it was founded, it was nothing. It was just a company that had just started. You had Kenny, you had the Bucks, you had Jericho. Those were like and you had Cody. Those were your main guys that were, building this up. And then,
Mm-hmm.
where we're at now. Jericho's still there. Jericho's one of those guys. The Bucks have kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. And Blackpool Combat Club's there, like you just said. Jericho's still there. So, and MJF, you can add MJF to the mix now. And it's in a better condition now than it was 3 years ago when this started. Who knows? Maybe another 3, 4 years from now, there's going to be a whole new crop of guys. Maybe Jericho will be out, Blackpool will be out, MJF will probably still be there, but that's going to be the goal. Those new guys are going to have it in better condition, or should have it, than where it is now. It should constantly be improving.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no complaints about that. I'm glad that the group now is better than the group that was here in the start.
Mm-hmm. All right, so one last thing, and we'll move on. Wrapping up the Danielson news, upon Danielson coming back, Wrestle Dream, which is a card that they've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestle Dream is coming, and the first match for Wrestle Dream has been announced. At least I believe it's the first match to be announced. And it's going to be the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and the dream match we've been waiting for, which perfect for Wrestle Dream as the first
Mm-hmm.
match announced, against Zack Sabre Jr. Literally a fight for the best technical wrestler on the face of the planet today.
Yes.
And it's an interesting fight to me because I feel like it's Benoit versus Dean Malenko.
Oh, you said the dreaded word.
I know we don't say his
I know,
name
I
and
know what you
everything,
mean. I know
but
what you
think
mean.
of it from a style standpoint.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of Danielson's style is Dynamite Kid. A lot of it's Benoit. A little bit of it is Angle. But if you look at it, aside from the brutal twist he takes on it with the kicks, that wasn't really in their arsenal. A lot of that technical prowess is Benoit and Dynamite and British
Mm-hmm.
Bulldog and very old school. Zack Sabre Jr.'s style is it's so new school, but it's so Dean Malenko in the way that he keeps finding new ways to twist you and make it entertaining. Every time
Yeah.
Dean put on a hold, it was entertaining because you just couldn't believe he could make a guy turn like that and twist like that and bend like that.
It's like I like to think of it as it's Dean Malenko if Dean Malenko had Shelton Benjamin's athletic ability.
Mm,
That's how I compare them.
yeah, it's so it's very it is very athletic. It's just a crazy mix because he almost takes your body and uses it like a Rubik's cube.
It's very
Um,
hybrid. It's very hybrid.
and it's going to be amazing to see those two styles clash together. So it really is a dream match. So the last thing, let's just wrap up on some good news and just give our thoughts on the Danielson thing, the
I
Danielson versus Sabre Jr.
I love it. I think, quite frankly, this has the potential to be match of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it's all said and done, if they do it the right way and they put on the show that both of them are capable of doing, they could, without question, have a Meltzer's match of the year or Wrestling Observer match of the year, whatever you want to call it. They could
Mm-hmm.
definitely be the ones to take that crown when it's all said and done.
And I think it really is one of the only Bryan Danielson matches I'm dying to see
Mm-hmm.
left. I only really have a couple, and
Yeah.
Zack Sabre Jr. since the first day, not even the first day, since I saw Zack Sabre Jr. in the Cruiserweight Classic
Mm-hmm.
with at the time Daniel Bryan commentating. I knew I wanted to see those two in the ring, so it's
Yeah.
definitely a dream match. And Let's talk about the poll, man.
Oh yeah, so we have a poll that we are going to be conducting, and we will be sharing the results with you next podcast. And this poll is going to be pretty straightforward. Obviously, we know everything that happened with Brawl Out and Brawl In, but might as well ask it here, throw it out there. Do you guys feel that you would welcome CM Punk back into a locker room if you were in charge of a wrestling company? So we'll have that poll out there for a little bit. We'll see what the results are. And then next podcast, we're going to let you guys know what those results are. So that's the question we pose. Would you allow CM Punk to wrestle in your promotion, given everything that's happened?
I could give you my answer, but I don't want to ruin the dramatic effect.
True.
All right, moving on to where the big boys play.
Where the big boys play.
Dude, tell me what's going on in WWE.
We have some sexual assault allegations.
hitting them hard.
Yeah, I mean, people out here getting a little too frisky with these WWE superstars.
Right. Just because they wrestle in tighty whities all day.
Yeah, just because they wear spandex doesn't mean we can grab on them and
practically
cop a feel.
Speedos.
So yeah, we had a fellow WWE superstar go on social media and express their opinion on how they feel like they were sexually assaulted. And this came from none other than the one and only Matt Riddle. Not the person you would expect to say something like that. I don't know if it was
then
legit.
Again, maybe he is. I mean,
yeah, like I don't know if it was legit.
Bros.
Yeah, I don't know.
He did used to be referred to as a stallion,
Yeah, I mean, he is.
I don't know.
He is dating an adult film star, so I mean, but it's weird because we know the type of time Matt Riddle has been on all 2023.
Yeah,
he hasn't exactly been, up here all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just odd to say the least. And then to take it a step farther, he ended up taking a picture of the TSA agent and putting it all over his social medias.
Damn, man.
And it's like not a sneaky picture. It's like a deliberately like in front of the face, like, and the TSA agent's just like this. He pulled a Karen. That's what it was.
Karen.
And the TSA agent made it look like a mugshot. He's just like
Karen Riddle with the TSA.
Yeah, Karen Riddle with the TSA.
This woman groped me.
And that's the thing. It wasn't even a woman that groped him. It was another man.
That's part of why I was so upset about it, right?
Yeah, that's why it's like it might be, but you also know the type of time Riddle's been on all year.
We've all had to be patted down when we felt like we shouldn't have. All right, let's relax. It's gonna be okay.
I've gone through TSA a number of times, and I can say I've never had that type of feeling from anybody. They always do the back of the hands. I don't know if this agent was feeling a little, hands on with his job, but yeah.
No, there's too many appropriate.
There's too many jokes that we can go into.
Jokes.
We don't want to get canceled, but yes, that did make news today.
Watch your hands, TSA.
Exactly. Hands off. Back of the hands. That's all we're gonna say. That's gonna be the tagline. Back of the hands only. And then also in WWE, we got some history making news. We got some history that was made this past week.
Sure do.
So for the past couple decades now, few decades, the Intercontinental title, the longest reign of the title, has been held by one man, and that is the Honky Tonk Man. And as of this past Friday, literally Friday, the record has been broken by none other than the leader of Imperium, Gunther. He is now the new longest reigning intercontinental champion of all time.
Yeah, I gotta tell
Stevie,
you.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
gotta say, are any of us surprised?
Not in the least bit. I'm actually very proud that we could finally replace the honky tonk man's reign with something a little more legitimate. You know,
Right?
to have to have somebody a little
Credible.
a little more credible. Not to say that the honky tonk man isn't credible, but just to say, there could have been somebody all these years of all the intercontinental champions that was a little better in the ring that could have held it just as long.
I'm
And
actually surprised it took this long.
so you get to a place where you're surprised that it took this long. So I just think it's about time. And Gunther was the perfect guy because he felt old school, like he would have a reign that long.
Yeah.
But also, he's every bit as good as the reign would endorse him to be.
Oh, of course.
So I think it's a perfect marriage of character and uh destiny, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because there couldn't have been anybody else.
No. And like I said, this may be the fast track to his next title reign, which could quite possibly be the Universal title.
I
You
mean,
never know.
I think with everybody fact clicking up and stating their claim for running shows and this and that going around that we'll talk about later, it is quite possible that if one day Gunther and Imperium just decided,
We can run everything.
it could get scary for people out here, man. It could get scary.
Yeah. And like you just said, you were talking about all these factions clicking up and whatnot. It's Is it me, or do we have now, like, officially three factions on one show?
Is it Here's my thing. Is it because the Judgment Day has
All the gold
all the gold that they're
that they
able to
can.
do both shows?
I would think so, because
Okay,
none of
because
them.
otherwise this makes no sense.
Yeah, because Rhea is Raw's women's the
All of
Raw
them
women's
are
champion,
from Raw. So, and I originally I thought that was the whole concept of the Bloodline being on one show, Judgment Day being on the other show. So
and
Judgment Day
then
is what a
yeah, and then now out of nowhere we were able to separate the factions, like one faction here, one faction here. Then we created this third faction, and now by some stroke of I don't know what the fuck, all three of them can end up on the same show at the same time. So now
is
we have this area where Judgment Day and Bloodline are not an alliance, but like kind of in a collusion together a little bit. And then Hurt Business is kind of just off to the side, but Hurt Business is also being a part of it, kind of. Now, is it just me, or could this quite possibly be setting up something for War Games?
are they going to do World War III war games?
I mean, I think you could do it.
3-man war games?
Well, not a three. Well, it could be a three-man War Games. I was thinking more
Or
along this.
3-team war games? Let's
I
do
would.
Hurt Business versus the Bloodline versus Judgment Day.
I think you could do it.
Let's do it, man.
I feel like you could, and even if you didn't want to do that, and you just wanted to do two teams, you could still do it to where you get the Hurt Business involved. Like you can still do it to where you take two members from the Bloodline,
Mm-hmm.
most likely Jimmy and Solo,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get two people from Judgment Day, most likely the tag champions, Finn and Damien.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start doing something with Hurt Business, and Hurt Business might need an extra man.
I see how that could work out. I see how you could do maybe
and
Solo
and
and
and they're
Jimmy.
and they're kind of jumping at AJ right now.
Oh, I see how they could do that. I could see an all tag team one.
Oh,
And it'd be
with all
like
the
an
tag teams.
alliance, but like an alliance tag, like two from Bloodline, two from OC, two from Hurt Business, two from Judgment Day,
And
and
that
do
could
like
work.
a four on this side, four on this side, war games but it's like four factions involved.
So my thing would be,
I could see that.
who would be
Wildly speculating.
who would be the fourth guy on the Hurt Business OC side? Because AJ's going in. I would assume you'd have to pick Carl. You can't pick Nishin, and I don't think anybody really wants to see Gallows in a War Games.
I think you would do Carl and AJ, or if you involve AJ, no, because AJ directly involved himself in. Oh, okay, okay. See, now you got me. Now our wild speculating has got me to a place of fantasy booking because
Or you could throw
Carl
Bobby in.
Carl definitely told him, don't involve yourself in this bloodline business. And now the bloodline business is getting involved in the bloodline business is getting involved in who else's business? Is it AJ's business?
Yeah, AJ and OC.
AJ and OC, which is also turning into a Hurt Business and Judgment Day thing, which is turning into a Judgment
Yeah.
Day and Bloodline alliance.
Yeah, so AJ got
This is
himself
War
involved.
Games. This is definitely going to War Games.
Yeah, like AJ got himself involved in Bloodline, and then Hurt Business took him out for Bloodline, or not Hurt Business. Judgment Day took him out for Bloodline, and then Hurt Business is letting Judgment Day know we see that goal, we want it. So it could be like an enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing.
Yeah, we gotta wait and see how Triple H is gonna do this. Do you think they're gonna do what they did? I feel like I distinctly remember them bringing somebody out to say War Games, right? Didn't they like bring Regal back when he?
No, it was
Never mind it. I
I think
think
Pierce said it.
I think this year, because we have Regal back, right?
Not
Don't we have Regal
officially.
back? Not officially.
I don't think not officially.
This year, I think if possible, once we, kind of start rolling this storyline out, because as I've just figured it out, everyone else is going to figure it out over the weeks. I think the best thing to do is just roll the storyline up, and then at one point in a huge brawl,
Oh yeah, we do
just
have them
have
officially.
Regal come out and say War Games,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all you need after that. It's just like, we've been building this. Where is this going? Oh, Survivor Series. It's going to be War Games. And then at one point during the promo, just have Regal come out and say War Games. And it's like, all right, here we go, baby. This is it. Like, that's all you really need. We know where it's going. We just need all the people in the ring at the same time, looking face to face, and then Regal's music plays. Everyone turns to the ramp, and they're all like, come on, say it, say it, say it, say it.
You know
War
what?
Games. And there it is.
I'm gonna say something that might piss
Speculating
off a lot of
wildly.
people.
Go ahead.
Maybe CM Punk's not as crazy as we think he is. Because War Games, Survivor Series War Games is in November in Chicago. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. No.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Hunter could have been pulling some strings.
Yeah, right.
Hunter could have been the puppeteer.
Yeah, right.
No, but it was just funny it was just funny to say. I don't think that's gonna
I
be the
would
case.
I
Look,
you
if
know
that was
how
to
quick
happen, I
you know
would.
how quick they'd have been like uh um Hunter's leaving, Hunter's stepping down. You know what I'm saying? Like, they fired Vince last night. You know how fast the tabloids
Hunter,
would be.
you know how quick
Shane
Hunter would
booked War
change his
Games.
previous statement. Oh my gosh. Shane booked War Games. Yep, I'm out. Tony, make some space. I'm moving to Jacksonville.
Oh snap!
I've suddenly become a Jaguars
You know
fan.
the headlines that would come out as Punk came back at War Games. Not even for like a Roman story would I be okay with Punk coming back. Like
I wouldn't be okay with it at all.
even if it's just to get Roman over, I still would be like, we don't need this. We could have done anything but this.
I guarantee you right now, it's going to be a situation like a few years ago when Enzo tried to hijack Survivor Series by buying a ticket.
No, I don't think Punk's that
Punk
desperate. He's got too much of an ego.
Punk would try to, and Enzo didn't.
Well, yeah, but Enzo was also a little crazy at the time. My man
And
is since tamed down. You know,
and,
he's going to New
and Punk
Japan
isn't.
now. Punk is not tamed at all. This man is punching people in the face, son. You know what I'm
Exactly. He's
saying?
not
Over
tame.
glass, my boy. Over glass.
That's all the more reason for him to try to
You know what I'm
hijack
saying?
his former employer's show.
You're right. He might be a little off edge. He might be a little off edge. That's true.
No, but that's crazy to think though. But I am interested to see how War Games turns out with all these factions and whatnot.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting.
And a Punk interference. You never know. um
Right?
but
Punk will be the next reason Roman keeps the belt. Fucking Punk. Oh my gosh. Through Paul Heyman. Oh, because they're Paul Heyman guys.
mm,
It'd be horrible. I'd lose my
damn,
mind. I'd lose my mind. They
damn.
kick Jimmy out again. Now, now the bloodline is Solo and CM Punk.
Solo, Roman, Paul, and Pepsi Phil. Yeah, man. But
It's not.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's everything for the week.
Um, yeah,
Was there
yeah.
was there
I think you're right. Let me see. Congratulations to everybody at Victory Road. I don't think a lot of titles changed hands, but I heard it was a great show. Jordan Grace came back.
hmm I did see Jordan Grace coming back. That was cool. She looks
Um,
good. She looks good. She doesn't look as I don't want to say the word bad because she didn't really look bad. She doesn't look as sunken in as she was before when she was doing that bodybuilding competition or
yeah,
the physique thing.
The bodybuilding physique and the wrestling physique are two different
Yeah, because
physiques
she was
that
like
I'm glad
losing.
she's um I'm very happy they're both successful for her,
Yeah,
but I'm glad she's back in wrestling.
yeah.
Um, but I heard everybody had a great night, and like I said, not a lot of titles changed hands. I think they might have given Tommy Dreamer the Digital Media Championship, but
Tommy,
you know
Tommy.
yeah, that's a small thing in itself.
hmm
Um, but congratulations to everybody for another great show. You guys just keep knocking it out of the park, and I'm very happy for you guys. But I think that is all the wrestling news, man. I'm trying to think of everything else. Oh, shout out to Ricky Shane Page for winning the openweight championship against Jacob Fatu. I was really hoping Fatu might cash in the option and we get Fatu versus Alex Kane, but it's still possible. I won't lose
hmm
hope. I think those two in a main event would be incredible. But shout out to Ricky Shane Page for becoming the new MLW openweight champ. And I think that's all the other indie news I can think of at the time. I think we're good to wrap up.
All right, so I guess it's time we get into that shameless plug and shout out portion.
Yes, sir.
So, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Nah, I got it. All right.
Okay.
My figure four for the pod this week. Um, I want to start with Anti-Hero on TikTok. I want to give a shout out to him. It's anti_1717. If you're looking up the TikTok at name, he just does funny wrestling videos, and the consistency is incredible. And he's doing like loading screen TikToks now, like different wrestlers stuff and loading screens. If you can remember back in video games when the characters would be idle, and they're really funny. So he gets my shout out this week. Another shout out to the Boomay Fight Club. That's going to take up two of them. For my boy Alex Kane and Jay Bougie, the newest member of the Boomay Fight Club, who I was there to see join, and has now had his child.
Hey,
and he said on Twitter he's now stepping up his interview prices. If you want to interview from him, you now have to buy a pair of diapers that he will provide the link for it.
Oh, hey, look.
And I was like,
cheap.
hey, listen, son. That's the way to go, son. That's how I would do it.
Or buying diapers.
That's how I would do it. So shout out to him and his newborn. That's awesome. And as always, man, Doghouse Gaming for all your retro gaming needs. Check them out, man. They got everything. And the store continues to improve. He continues to update content, constantly put out the new games that he gets, the old game that he gets, improvements to the store, just constantly building and just killing it over there, getting all the retro games and retro systems and different parts, requests, all different types of stuff up in that store, man. So shout out to my man Tweak, Doghouse Gaming on Facebook and Instagram for all your retro gaming needs, man.
Awesome. So I'm gonna dive into my shout outs. And this week, I don't know why, I've been liking the more wholesome side of wrestling. Like we always say we like to push the envelope or toe the line, but sometimes you just like the wholesome side of wrestling. So I'm going to shout out some of the wholesome things that I've seen from the wrestling business. The first person I'm shouting out is, I've shouted her out before, I'm going to shout her out again, is an indie wrestler by the name of Izzy Moreno. And if you guys don't know who she is, Stevie knows who she is. She is pretty much Bayley's #1 fan. Like, she's the Hugger Bayley 2.0, and she just had her first ever match this past week, I believe. So for me, that's awesome. When you're a huge fan of the business and you get to have your first match and you get the channel somebody that you idolize so much, that's always a dope thing to see. So shout out to Izzy Moreno. If you guys don't follow her on any social media, go follow her on Instagram at It's Izzy Mania, because she's just a wholesome person. So shout out to Izzy and what she's accomplishing. The next thing I'm going to shout out is actually a wrestling promotion that's been showing us some love on social media, and it's called the Rascals Pro Wrestling Blackpool. Now, this is a small promotion out of Blackpool, England. They offer training for people who want to train to be in the business, whether it's in wrestling, announcing, commentating, managing. They offer all kinds of stuff like that. And not only that, they also put on shows for the local kids around them in Blackpool. And they've been showing us love on Instagram. I've been showing them love back. It's just been a great relationship for the last few weeks, and we're going to hope to continue to grow that and interact with them. So shout out to the Rascals Pro Wrestling in Blackpool. And my last shout outs, pretty soon, we were just talking about war games, and last year we did a challenge video, and I feel like it's time to do another one. So sooner or later, we're going to throw a challenge down to these people: D the Toy Hunter, Mr. Awesome, and Arcade Pop. I'm shouting y'all out because y'all always show us love and support. But pretty soon, keep an eye out because we're throwing a gauntlet down to you. And that's it. Those are my shout outs for this week. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this episode. As always, make sure you guys like it, subscribe, hit the bell for our notifications. Make sure you stay up to date on everything Stevie, Jobber, and myself are doing. Follow us on all the social media platforms, and have a great rest of your week. Make sure you guys stay up. Make sure you guys stay blessed. And as always, stay dangerous.
People have been asking me to be the best in the world. Why, Eddie, why?